So today I'll be going over the lyrical changes in hip hop from the 90s to now. And my name is Christian Keys. So introducing our artists, first we have um, in the red corner, the notorious B.I.G. And we're going to be looking into his song Juicy that came out in our 90s era. And then in our blue corner, Lil Uzi Vert with the song New Paddock, representing our new era, and I'll get into why I chose these two songs in the following slides. So, going into our first slide, I want to go over the changes in lyrical devices from just looking at our 90s storytelling versus now. So, looking at our 90s storytelling, we go into our upbringing, our struggle, the work ethic. In the song Juicy, you hear a lot about him growing up, sucking on his mama's chest to stop his hunger because they never had enough money for food. Christmas being terrible times because they had no heat, and Christmas skipped over them as if Santa jumped right over the house and never even paid them any attention. Once again, because his mother had no money, to where he is now. So, yeah, all that happened in my past, but this is where I'm at now because of my ability just to speak. And he goes into that a lot. And it's a very thankful song for the industries he's in. So, we go from that in the 90s where that is very much a lot of what these artists are doing in that time. Just thinking everything, thinking that they don't have to be in project housing anymore, that they don't have to be worrying about their next meal, that Biggie can now ship champagne when he's thirsty. That's what hip hop is in the storytelling aspect in the 90s. Now, I'd argue that there is none. Now it's more of the look at me culture. It's more about the trips I'm taking, more about the women. It steps away from any stories about their life and it turns into more of a bragging session where, oh, look at me, I drive a BMW. Look at my BMW. Look at my BMW. In this song, it's new paddock, new paddock. Look at my watch, look at my watch, look at my watch. Look at the diamonds in it. Look at how all these girls are gawking over me. I can fly to London right now. Look at me. And that's what the new storytelling is. It's not really a story. Now we step into criminal doings. And this part is one of the most ironic for me. If you look at the pictures, you have mugshots of very popular 90s hip hop artists. And then in the bottom, it's a comic of Little Uzi Vert riding his quad. That's actually why he got arrested. He didn't even get fully detained. He got arrested, he got booked, and then he was let free. Biggie served time. Biggie served time for gang activity. But the funny part is, in Biggie's song, he's happy to be out of that life. He's grateful for what rap has given him. Yet, if you go to and look at what he's talking about and how thankful he is, and then you move to New Era, rap is glorified. Lil Uzi's talking about doing things with girls, throwing up gang signs like he's in Naruto, doing hand gestures, and also has the word gang in the background of his songs all throughout his chorus when he's not affiliated with any of that. So he's glorifying a life that he's not a part of. So I just thought that was very ironic. Moving on to our next thing, it's sexism in the industry. Um, and the only reason why I picked these photos is because on the left, It's one of the most classic photos that probably everyone has seen at some point is a neon sign with a girl, and most of the time they got that sign moving with the leg kicking up and down. And that's just the basics of sex sells. And that's kind of where the music industry has gone. If you listen to Juicy, there is no mention of any sexual favors happening. The most thing that's happening, and I post this up here as kind of a joke, was girls sending him letters in the mail telling him how much they missed him when they used to make fun of him. And that's why I put the USPS logo up there, just to throw that in there. But now, if you look at the bottom right, you see Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, who sing the song WAP, which recently just hit the charts. The new hip hop industry has moved towards a very sexual place because, back to my main point, sex sells. Where you didn't need sex back in the 90s because we wanted to listen to your stories. We wanted to hear what your life was about. We wanted to be able to connect with one another based on what you were telling me your previous life was about, your past experiences. I wanted to be able to connect with you there. Now it's more about sex. And that's the same thing in this song, where he's alluding to girls sucking his dick, Lil Uzi, to him alluding to multiple other sexual favors from these girls, referring to them as bitches by degrading them, by acting like, oh, they don't even know my name, I don't even care about them, yada yada, and brushing them off. And that he'll only even entertain them if they're good looking. So sexism in the industry has grown drastically. Now moving on to materialism. And this is kind of where it gets a little bit shady because materialism has always been a part of the industry. The thing was, when materialism was a part of the industry, it was never really spoken about in songs. It was just actions that these rappers did, such as buy grills, such as Juicy quickly alluding to some of the things he has, such as shipping champagne whenever you feel like, having a new couch, having 2 cars in his garage, being able to put diamond earrings in his girlfriend's ear. But the song wasn't fully about that. The song was about him basically being thankful for being able to have those things. Whereas, look at the title of modern day songs. If it's not about sex, it's about materialism. The name of the song itself is New Paddock because it's all about having that item, having that watch on the wrist, and being able to set a status symbol for yourself. But the issue with materialism, and we mentioned this in class, whereas if you're not buying these high-end products, you're viewed as lesser, and you risk not even being able to be noticed. So that's a risk that a lot of these artists are some are taking, some are not. So you fall into this trap, and it becomes a circular motion where if you're not spending all the money you're getting, you're losing more money in the future. So it's a circular effect. The next thing is market penetration, and this is one that is very obvious, but I think it needs to be spoken about. You can no longer prevent yourself from being heard. There's no way for you not to be heard now. With the internet growing, you can post anything anywhere, and everyone has the ability to hear you. That is actually how Lil Uzi Vert got founded, was off of SoundCloud. In 2016, he was the most streamed rapper off of SoundCloud and then got signed to Atlantic Records. And it was just through the internet. He didn't send his album out. He didn't send any cuts. He didn't buy any studio time. It was a recording from his basement. But you go back to Biggie. Biggie went to the studio. He recorded a tape. And he just wanted it for himself. A few of his buddies heard it. A few of his buddies put it out. And it wound up not even going to any labels, but actually went to a magazine, put him in the magazine. And the magazine reached out for the tape, and he was heard by a producer, Puffy, at a record label, and then got signed with that record label. And then he had multiple other things where he had to move record labels. But that's not the point. The point is he had to take multiple steps just to try to get noticed, just for the attempt. The attempt for artists now is post something online. So it's a very big difference. In conclusion, rap has changed drastically. And it's mainly due to technology, but we're moving in waves that are undescribable to many artists back then, and they won't even understand it. But it has moved, it has changed lyrically, and we are the reason for that change. And it's just something definitely worth noting.